Hello and welcome to this O&DR Modurol video, which Paramount Performance XK8 XKR X100. This is video 165 in our series of XK8 videos. In this video we're going to try and explain all the variants of Paramount Performance modified cars. We're going to concentrate obviously just on the Jaguar XK8 XKRs and the sort of cars you see here in the picture, UK modified cars which have a sort of reference to being done by a company called Paramount Performance. Now, all the cars seem to share the same or a similar body kit. Now, these body kits were sourced from Arden, the German tuning company, and the cars mostly have the same sort of history, and they all have the same link to a guy called Charles Whitaker. Now, just to explain, Charles Whitaker is a massive influence in these tune cars of the late 1990s, early 2000s. By that I mean Jaguar XK8s, XKRs, and Jaguars generally. Chaz was an RF officer. He started a company tuning Jaguar executive models, like the XJ40, I think the X300, fitting turbos onto them with a company called Chasseur from 1995. He then formed a company called Paramount Performance in 1998 and turned his attention to the X100 and the AJ V8 and the supercharged version. Now, Paramount Performance is still around today, albeit with different people doing a slightly different thing. Chaz then actually moved company to a company called Racing Green Cars from 2002, and you can see basically very, very similar cars being produced by that company. No surprise there. And then finally, Chaz worked for a little while for a company called Straight 86 from 2011, and I think he did support some of his older cars from that point, but primarily that company is all about TVR tuning and race preparation and support. So you can see how Charles Whitaker has a massive influence in all these modified Jaguar XK8 XKRs from that period. So the information we've got to support this video is coming from Jaguar Performance Brochure from approximately year 2000, and in that it lists the different models, the Grand Prix, Donnigton, Grosvenor and Burnham. Inside the cover it splits the brochure down into four sections. The first half of it is sport. It lists a Grand Prix and a Donnigton version, and the other half is what they call deluxe, and it lists Grosvenor and Burnham. Now, on the sports side, the Grand Prix is the out and out full fat version, if you would. It's got the body kit, the full engine tuning, stainless exhaust, lowered suspension, steering upgrade, upgraded brakes to suit the performance, F1 switch shift, which is the flappy paddle addition to the gearbox, which I've done as a separate video. I'll put a link in the top right hand corner, and obviously the aftermarket wheels. The second sport version is very much toned down, called the Donnigton. It does get the body kit, the stainless exhaust, but no engine tuning, no big brakes. It does get the steering and the wheels. And then from the deluxe side, which is basically the deluxe, but I mean, it's all the interior mods. Basically, this is sort of the full look, exterior and interior. So the Grosvenor had the body kit, stainless exhaust, lowered suspension, a full interior retrim. By full retrim, if you're familiar with X100s, there is a lot of leather in the car, don't get me wrong, but there's only generally items which you touch, the seat fronts, the steering wheel, etc. In the case of the Grosvenor, Paramount Performance and Chaz, they basically covered everything in leather and really did a good job, took the car to a different level interior-wise. The Burnham then is the toned down version of that, so it does have some what they call the deluxe interior pack, but it's basically just a body kit, exhaust trims, lower suspension, steering wheels, and a bit of a interior refresh, if you would. So all four versions share that Arden body kit. All four versions have some sort of exhaust modification, albeit only trims, lowered suspension, the steering, and the aftermarket wheels. So they've all got sort of external cosmetic upgrade. There is some difference though. When you're paying for sort of the upgraded versions of the Grand Prix and the Grosvenor, the body kit is actually carbon fibre, and the sill appliques or whatever, the sponsons, are actually aluminium. But on the lower versions, with the Donnington and Burnham, it's all polyester. So you do get what you pay for. They're not all quite the same, albeit they look visually similar. The difference is then, obviously, the Grand Prix is the engine tuning. So you got like a revised induction system. You got the supercharger pulley upgrade. And obviously the sports exhaust, the sports cats. The upgraded brakes to suit the performance, which is a really big plus. And obviously the F1 switch shift. The Grosvenor then, as I say, is primarily, it has all the same base features, but the interior retrim is what gives it its oomph. And then the Burnham is just exhaust trims, a bit of an interior pack, and the Donnington is really the poor boy of all these kits, if you would. It's just the external upgrade. Just for your information then, Charles Whitaker was very keen on aircraft base names, and he was calling his cars, but he was working for a chasseurs, the Stealth Turbo, Tornado. Really, really good names. Very, very rare car. It's been, I think, they've sold recently. When it was at Paramount, originally they started off calling the upgrades P1, 2, and 3, depending on the contents. But later, I think it's from about 2000, he started calling the Grand Prix Donnington, Grosvenor, and Burnham. Okay, they're not particularly aircraft related. But then finally goes back to his roots with Racing Green, and the Typhoon is basically the full fat racing tuned one, and the Tempest is this cosmetic one. Again, aircraft related names. One thing that is a bit confusing, you might not be able to name every modified car or allocate a name to every modified car you find out there on the internet, because he was actually selling bits of the spec. You could buy the body kit separate. You could make up your own spec completely. So you could make up a sort of hybrid cars. You could buy back bumpers, front bumpers, etc. Interior grades. You could buy the F1 switch shift, I think, all completely separately. So it does actually make it a bit more difficult to navigate if you see a car with an Arden body kit. Okay, if you're interested in a bit more about the spec and what the cars actually look like, we've done a full run through of the spec of the XKR Paramount Performance Grand Prix Grosvenor in video 164. I'll put a link at the end of the video. So there you go. If you're interested in Jaguar XK8 XKRs, please take a look at our channel. Please subscribe, and you'll see more XK8 videos.